like to call the meeting to order. May I have approval of the agenda? So moved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. John, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Would you all please rise? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Let's move forward with additional board representative appointments. The item or the individuals that we have on the agenda for appointments this evening are the Equality Committee membership, which are pages 1 through 6 in your board packet. Is there a motion?
I move approval as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have announcements and recognitions. And Mr. Rand, do you have the announcements for us this evening?
Yes, Ms. Sharmer.
Could you join us with those?
Now is the perfect time to discover all that's great about the school district of Beloit with kindergarten enrollment starting on Monday, January 28th. Parents may stop by our central enrollment office located at the Colac Education Center, 1633 Keeler Avenue, to find information on boundaries and calendars, highlights of our district, and enroll their children for school. 4K will be offered next year at KidSpace, Royce Early Learning Center, the YMCA, as well as at Converse, Merrill, and Robinson Elementary Schools. Parents will need their child's birth certificate, immunization record, parent identification, and proof of residence, such as a utility bill. Children moving from 4K to 5K will not need to enroll at this time. For an up-close look at some of our secondary schools, check out these upcoming Expo Open House events. Tuesday, January 29th is the Beloit Memorial High School Expo from 5:30 to 7. Besides talking to staff and students about the large selection of classes and extracurricular activities, you'll get a chance to hear our award-winning music students play, in addition to checking out the Night Spot Honors Lounge and Night Zone, where Purple Night apparel will be on hand to purchase. The McNeil Middle School Expo will be held on February 5th from 6 to 7:30, full of information on their courses, athletics, and skill-building clubs and activities. Thursday, February 7th, is the Aldrich Middle School Expo and Cultural Fair from 5:30 to 8 p.m. The expo will take place in the boys' gym. The cultural fair will be held in the girls' gym and commons, featuring food samples from different countries for a small admission fee of $4 for adults and high school students, and only $2 for middle school students and younger. Also featured are displays from other countries represented through dress, photos, traditions, and even toys. Don't forget to stop by the raffle table for a chance to win one of the many exciting prizes, including a family Mount Olympus package. We also welcome you to visit our website at www.beloitschools.net for more news and events and to sign up for our free e-newsletter. This concludes the January announcements.
Thank you. Let's move forward now with recognitions, awards, and presentations. Melissa Badger, could you please join us at the podium?
Hey, thank you. I have a great recognition for all of you tonight. So to start, I would like to ask our assistant principal, John Kaminsky, to join me at the podium, as well as the 4 advanced placement scholars that we have here tonight. Please join me at the podium. These are some pretty amazing students and have really represented their school, their district, and their community very well. And here, of course, to tell you a little bit more about that is John Kaminsky.
Thank you. A total of 28 Beloit Memorial High School students, including recent graduates, have earned AP Scholar Awards in recognition of their exceptional achievement on AP exams last May. 4 of these students are now seniors and will be here today, as they are, to accept recognition. They are Devin Jones, Kevin Wynn, Don Shim, and Mariel White. Jones, Wynn, and Shim all qualified for AP Scholar Award by completing 3 or more AP exams with scores of 3 or higher. White qualified for the AP Scholar with Distinction Award by earning an average score of at least 3.5 on all AP exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on all 4 more of these exams. Let's give him a hand here. What's interesting is I got to know all 4 of these students with Kids Against Hunger, and not only are they great students, but they're great people as well. So congratulations, guys. Well deserved.
Okay, before you go, we have something for you. And I do want to point out that we did have 28 students. That was an increase over 19 from the year before. And these 4 amazing students were only juniors when this happened. So it's pretty outstanding work. So really commend you on that. And I get to be the lucky one to give you this on behalf of the Board of Education in recognition of outstanding scholarship and earning National College Board Advanced Placement AP Scholar Honors. Devin? And Kevin? Congratulations. And Dawn? And Muriel.
Thank you.
Outstanding job, all of you.
Thank you, Melissa. And on behalf of the board, I just want to congratulate the 4 of you as well as the others for not only representing Beloit well academically, but in all the extracurriculars and your part-time jobs that we see you out at, and well-rounded students representing Beloit in the best possible way. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for representing the district so well. Next we have citizens or delegations. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that wishes to speak to any area of interest that is not included on tonight's agenda? If so, I would ask that you rise and advance to the podium at this time, as there is some legalese that I need to read. Going once, going twice. Looking like we have no takers tonight, so I will forego you that long iteration of legalese. Let's move forward to superintendent's reports to the board. First, we have up Roy Chapman Andrews Academy update, and we have the RCEA staff and students here to present to us this evening. If you could join us at the podium.
I get to change hats here.
Welcome back.
Thank you. We have Chris Lemaster, one of our teachers at Roy Chapman Andrews, with us, along with Rana Weaver. Our goal tonight is really to give you kind of an overview as far as what we do at Roy Chapman Andrews and give you an update as far as some data or information. So I know that you received packets, and I'm going to go through that information. I'm going to have Rihanna kind of be my guide here as far as getting that thing loaded up and so forth. There we go. Keep going. Next one. Oh. Every year, we're supposed to report to the board as far as how we're doing, and we're looking at the annual measurable objectives. And I'm not going to be able to cover every single detail, but I want to be able to make sure I cover the ones in star. The ones that are not marked with a star, we are doing actually the PLP, which is the 4th item down, is the personal learning plan. And we have all of our students put together short-term and long-term goals as far as what they want to be with their career and so forth. And so that's an ongoing self-reflective process. Another item that does not have a star next to it is the career assessment aptitude survey, which is done with our counselor, Mr. Garza. In terms of looking at the service learning, our students are expected to do all of this during the year. There are different options. I know one's doing one on autism. We're going to do a walk in the spring. We've got some students involved with going to the nursing home, making teddy bears for our ambulances. I mean, just a variety of things in the community to get involved with and so forth. In regards, 90% of charter students will demonstrate competency, information, literacy skills. It's 100%. I mean, all of our students use the computer. They navigate it for research, project proposals, word processing, PowerPoint, and so forth. So those items, it's not in your packet, but I want to make sure you know we are covering those items. The things in your packet, if you move on to the next slide there, Rana, we have attendance rates we want to talk about. And if you look at our comparison, we kind of look at the high school as well as the middle schools as far as our comparison, because we are a 6 through 12 charter school. And you can see from the data in front of you that as far as the middle schools are concerned, we're probably about 1% below them as far as daily attendance, but we're above the high school. If you look at it in terms of the next slide here, you will see that our average is about 93% over the last 3 years and so forth. So again, you kind of get in between the high school and middle school as far as getting a sense of where we're at with our daily attendance. Graduation rates, we're at 100%. This is up to 2010-11. Last year was 100%. We project to be 100% this year as well. WKC test results, we looked at the 7th and 8th grade as well as 10th grade tests, how we compare again to the high school as well as to the middle school, or middle schools. And as you go through this packet, there's a lot of information there and so forth. What you'll see is that in terms of reading, we are at or above in terms of the levels of assessment. That first slide there, if you look at it, says 100%. That means 100% of our students at Roy Chapman Andrews for the 7th grade in 2009 were proficient or advanced proficient taking that test. In mathematics, that was 75%. So as you look through the graphs and so forth, you will see that it tells you how many of your students percent-wise were advanced or proficient. And in terms of reading, there's no doubt that's been a strength of ours. What we believe, we want to make sure every student is successful. We've kind of modeled the middle school, high school, as far as the reading program at a smaller scale, where we do a lot of intervention with small groups and so forth, making sure our students keep up and are successful. So we want all learners to move up in regards to that process. I'm going to have Brianna kind of move along here with some of the, you can keep going. Mathematics is probably an area that we need to work on, especially the 10th grade level. As you'll see, there's kind of a summary at the end in terms of the data, but it looks at in terms of our 7th and 8th grade mathematics, we're at or above in regards to comparing to the middle schools. High school, I think at 3-year average, we're like at 50%, which is, we want to improve on that and so forth. I think the high school is 52%. So again, looking at advanced or proficiency, that's where we're at here. So if you kind of, Brandon's going to kind of move here so I can show you that 3-year comparison of the averages in terms of our scores. Excellent. You will see where we're at as far as, again, compare us to McNeil and Aldridge, the 3-year averages in reading and mathematics. That gives you a sense of where we're at. And I think for the most part, we are at or we exceed the middle school as well as the high school. Keep going. One of the things that we also look at is how well our students are doing beyond high school. And the DPI put out a survey, actually a scorecard on how the schools are doing in regards to preparation. They looked at ACT, graduation rates, as well as attendance. And we were given a 93.9%, which basically says we're doing very well in preparing our students for the future. And that would exceed the high school as well as the state average. We asked parents some questions because we want their input. And we asked the parents, first of all, how would you rate our academic challenge? And for the most part, if you look at it, it's like 8.71, which I would consider like a high B. So on a scale of 1 to 10, that's pretty good. In regards to the next area, how would you rate the staff? So besides the challenge, how would you rate the staff? And again, we're talking 8.84, which again, I would consider to be a high B if you're looking at a scale of 1 to 10. In terms of parent involvement, it's interesting to kind of get a little reflection piece. How would they rate their involvement as far as what happens at Roy Chapman Andrews? And they gave themselves a 7.24. One of the questions we asked them is, would you enroll your child in the school district of Beloit if RCA was not available? So you kind of have a split here. About 50% said yes, they would. About 45% said they would not. And then this last question, I think one of the things that we're trying to do is define who we are as a school. And I know Brianna will be showing you a little video in a little bit here, but I think it's important to get a sense of the dress code is not something we're doing like this fall, but we wanted to have that dialogue. We wanted to be able to talk about having a professional setting. You walk into Roy Chapman Andrews, you'll see computers, people working at their desk and so forth. And when we walk in, we thought, hey, if we had our students dress up with khakis and polo shirt, it would look a lot more professional, give them that kind of setting and so forth. So we're still looking at that. You know, I know the students have a different perspective on it, but we want them to see that when they leave here, that is Roy Chapman Andrews, that they go into the community, where the college, job, and so forth, and look professional. Now, at this time, I'm going to have Mr. LeMaster introduce Brianna Weaver.
Hi. So numbers tell you an interesting thing. They tell you a lot of interesting things about a school. But I'm a teacher, so I'm a little more interested in the students and what they're doing. The interesting thing about this is we had a board meeting and we're talking about what we'd be presenting, and then we'd be coming here. Our governance board was meeting, and Rihanna was in attendance. And an idea came up that, well, maybe we need to, have some sort of a video presentation. It wouldn't be great if a student did it. And Rihanna was in the room, so we kind of looked at her, and I kind of knew she would be not real excited about this because she's working on a music composition project, and she's really into it. She just started it. She's writing vocal lyrics, and she's writing instrumental music, and she's doing all these things. They're pretty interesting. And she kind of, I don't know, maybe. So the next day she came into school. She said, I'm going to make a video. I decided I'm going to make a video. I want to take it to the board. I want to show them. So this is her video, her perspective on what our school is about. I think she's got a very interesting perspective. And I think the thing that's interesting about our school is that it gives students this opportunity. You know, students come to me and say, well, how come we don't have a dance? I said, well, make a dance. So now we have an annual dance. The students make it themselves. Or why don't we have a rec night like Aldrich? So, well, yeah, go ahead. So, you know, I kind of spin it around. It's real easy for me. But, you know, the students really do take on this ownership opportunity. And Rihanna said, well, we need to tell the board what's going on in our school. So she created this video. And I think you'll be as impressed as I am.
When the sun goes down and the stars come up, my whole world lights up. I know I'm gonna make this the best year ever. When the moon comes up, my whole world changes. This is the best year ever.
Hey, welcome to Roy Chapman Entrance Academy, also known as RCA. This is our awesomely unique school. As you can see, it's a little loud and a little busy. So, just take a look around. Now that I've shown you around, let's take a tour of RCA. First off, let me show you the project. The project room is basically all the source for our science and social studies needs. It has science experiments, social studies experiments, anatomy, physiology, biology, basically everything. Let's see what we can pack. Well, in here we have a whole bunch of science experiments. I guess that's the project room. Now let's go to the art room. The art room has basically everything we need for our projects. We use the art room to make our products, and as you can see, it's kind of a mess. Daphne here is going to tell us what products are. What are products, Daphne?
Well, products are something you actually make for your project. It's pretty much somewhere where you can actually explain
No,
what you learned
go to
before.
RCA's library. RCA has a school library, but of course the Beloit Public Library is just around the corner. That's where we go to get most of our books for our research. Oh, hey Alex, this is Lucy again. Hey. Can you tell us all about what you do here at the library?
Pretty much like a library. It's where you grab a book. We have our fiction section, which is where you can read novels, and then we have our realistic fiction, which is also called nonfiction.
Now let's go talk to Miss Minsky. Hey, Mr. Minsky.
How you doing, Rihanna?
Good.
Awesome.
Can you ask you a few questions?
Sure can.
Can you tell us what you like about your school?
What I like about our school is that we have a very diverse population.
Why do you like RCA?
I like RCA because I think it gives students that personal choice. It challenges them as well. And I think the students feel like they're connected. It's a small setting.
Now we're going to go to your Mr. Clark. Let's go see the campus. Can you tell us what your job is here at RCA?
What is my job? I wear many hats. Officially, I'm an advisor here at Roy Chapman, and what that means is that I essentially take care of my 20 students.
Now let's go talk to Mr. Lester. Why do you like RCA?
I like RCA because it shifts the responsibility for the learning to the students. And I think that's where it should. Students need to really take ownership of their own learning if it's going to be meaningful for them. And here at RCA, that's what they do that allows them to become more engaged with what they're doing.
If RCA closed, how do you think it would impact the Beloit community?
I think think RCA is an asset to the Beloit community. I think there are a lot of people who this learning style fits for very well. Some of them would do well in a traditional school, and some of them haven't done so well in traditional school, but they're really succeeding here. So I think if we closed, it would hurt individual students.
Do I have anything that I would like to add? I think sort of going along with what I've already said, that Roy Chapman is small, but it does represent a unique opportunity for students seeking an alternative form of education, and one that promotes high expectations, high standards, and student achievement.
I'm DeMarco and I'm in 7th grade.
I'm Jasmine and I'm in 6th grade.
And I'm Alexis and I'm in 8th grade.
I'm Gwen.
Glenn, I'm in 10th grade.
I'm Ian and I'm in 6th grade. I'm Kirsten and I'm in 10th grade.
I'm Kimberly, I'm in 10th.
I'm Amanda and I'm in 10th.
I'm Antonio and I'm in 6th. Can you just tell us a little bit about the school?
Well, I like the school personally because you get to like pick what you want to do. You're not stuck in front of a teacher all day. They're not like lecturing you about what you have to do. Like there's some things that you don't have freedom about, but you mostly get to do what you want to do.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Advisory is really where we all kind of just get together in the morning after time, and we talk about what the plan is for the day, or we get an assignment, and we kind of just go over some fun topics to talk about.
Like
Why is it important that everyone in the advisory
So that when you do projects, you can ask for help and you don't even, and if you do and you don't know them, then it's going to be kind of awkward.
Can you tell me good things?
Well, I like the school because we can choose how we want to learn what everyone in high school is already learning.
what I like about the school is everyone has a group of friends and we're not being picked on.
Like, say things that are different about our school and other schools.
I think that we have more say in our how we learn here, and we kind of are a little more prepared for being able to do things on our own when we're actually out in the world and not in school.
Is it more like an independent school?
Hi, I'm Luis Renteria. I'm a 2011 graduate of RCAA.
How does RCA help you be successful in life?
The biggest thing that RCAA has done for me was probably help me figure out time management and also creativity and I guess expression, the way I express the things I learn. I figured out a lot of different ways I can do that now instead of just writing.
Do you think if you wouldn't have come to RCA, things would be different in your life now?
I think so. I think coming to RCAA, I was able to really become more independent, I guess, with my schoolwork. Here at RCAA, I was able to set my own deadlines and figure out what I was doing, also doing something I was interested in. The thing I really want to say is just Roy Chapman Andrews Academy is very important to Beloit. It is something that is very necessary. I don't know if we really realized that before it actually became a school and before it became a reality, that a lot of people, not everybody learns the same way. Everybody has a different learning style, and whether they know that or not, I think Roy Chapman Andrews is very, very necessary for Beloit.
I got to keep that in mind that Rihanna's a 6th grade student, and pretty amazing to be able to put that project together. And you think about the 21st century skills that students are expected to learn, that creativity, that critical thinking, communication, collaboration. You see that right there. And so there's no doubt things that she's doing, things that we do at RCAA is preparing them for the future. Are there any questions in regards to from the board?
John Acom, and then Nora.
I have a comment. I thought that the video was fantastic, Brianna. I really did. And what was interesting to me, too, was that in your interviews with both the young lady that graduated and the other students, it was very clear that the students at RCAA understand what RCAA is about, why it's different, why it works for them. And that's important. That is huge, because RCA obviously is a choice, and it's not a choice for everybody. But the people that are there because they want to be there, and they understand that, and they understand how it works. And I thought that came across very well in your video. So my congratulations.
Thank you, John. Nora.
For those that don't know, I sit on the governing board. I'm the school board representative. And Rihanna, you did a wonderful job. Thank you very much for letting the rest of us see what you see every day. I would like to say, though, to my fellow board members and to the public that last year, too, I interviewed all of the graduates, and one thing that I found to be very amazing is a lot of entrepreneurial skills. And there were 2 students that graduated last year that actually already started their own business. And one of the students had contracts with other businesses and adults and an actual corporation. And I just am amazed at how much the students can learn on their own using their own interests, and how much they can take into their career or onto other education, as we just heard from the other graduate. I like RCAA, and thank you very much.
We have John Winkleman and then Missy.
Just a couple of questions, John. Some of them maybe you can just get back to us on. How many students are there?
We started with 79 students. We're probably looking at the low 70s as far as second semester. One of the things you find out is that students find out this is the right fit, they stay. If it's not the right fit, they move back to either middle school or high school.
And you talked about graduates. How many graduates?
Well, this year is going to be
hard to understand the
right.
graphs
I
if we
understand
don't know
that.
where
Last year we had, I think, 5.
Okay.
So it's usually a small class. I know this year is 1.
Okay.
Just 1. Next year projected for 3. So you do have a heavy load as far as the middle school at this point, if you looked at the distribution of students.
And then is there a way to compare your WKCE scores to the state average scores? Because you're comparing them
I've been
to
asking,
Beloit.
yeah, I'm hoping to get that information back to you in regards to that, the benchmarks.
Part of what we heard, I know, as this evolved, was that we would draw students from not only Beloit School District, but from other places. Do you have a demographic in?
Yeah, we use a lottery system, as you know, and so we have to make sure we kind of follow lists and so forth. And so at this point, we've got about 3 or 4 students that are from the Turner District.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
And the rest, so 60
Maybe
some,
was there one from James?
60 some from Beloit?
That 50% of the parents aren't sure they stay. I mean, that.
Right, but he's asking in regards to.
I mean, we've had a few students return from, say, Rock County Christian, who are, in the district, but we're attending private schools, so a few more.
Okay. At some point, a breakout of whose
yep.
ours would be helpful. And then, part of how we think about even the high school, or at least some of the conversation, is about outcomes, right? It's so, where are the grads, what are they doing, is a way of measuring what you're doing. And so at some point, it would be interesting to hear, even though you've only had a few, are they all right now sitting at college doing something? Are they out working? Are they, who knows? What are they doing? So it would be interesting to know kind of what the outcomes are.
Okay.
Right? Thanks.
Thank you.
Missy?
Just briefly, that was great. We have a lot of presentations, but I think it's so good to hear from the students, and the way you did it, the format was wonderful. I can imagine you expanding on that and really selling the program in presentations. So thank you very much.
I want to thank Rihanna for putting together the video. It was fun to watch, and it gave us a much better perspective and Mr. Kaminsky also for the presentation. A couple questions that I have, and I do believe that we'll be coming back. I think you'll be coming back to the board to answer some more of the questions as we look at the upcoming contract. When you come back, if we could get also the breakdown of students by grade. And then it seems as though if we started with 79, we're looking at low 70s, but we're graduating 1 this year, 3 next year. What's the matriculation rate? And do we know why the students, as they progress upward through the grade levels, are opting out of RCAA? Is
Okay.
it course offerings, or what is the rationale? The other question, it's my understanding the students are also taking MAPS testing, is that correct?
Yes.
So perhaps we could also look at the data on the MAPS testing and how is that correlating, because we'll see all the grade levels. Because it seems as though if we look at the data within this packet, 8th grade seems to be more of a hurdle for students, and I don't know if it's that grade or those students, or I think MAPS would give us a better perspective of the overall picture. And then the last question that I have that's going to be an important question is going to be, what is the cost per pupil to educate? And I know prior we've had multiple programs in that facility, but now it's just RCAA. So I think it will be much easier for us to extrapolate out the cost per pupil when we're looking at the cost per pupil at Aldridge, McNeil, or the high school, and looking at all of our overhead costs and all of the soft costs there as well.
Okay.
And contractually, I don't know if there was any other questions that board members may have before you come back that came to mind, but if they do come up with any, I would encourage them to email Steve so that he can forward those to you, so that we can try and get all of those questions on the table, and kind of let you know what we may be trying to decipher so that we have no crazy questions as you're sitting before us. Apart from that, great presentation, great progress. It's exciting to see what's going on, and it's always nice to know that we have alternative offerings for every type of student within the district. So thank you to everybody, and thank you for the video, and look forward to talking to you, I believe, next month? Contract's April, correct?
Yep.
So I think next month we'll look forward at hopefully committee meeting to ask some of those leading questions that we had tonight.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Next up, we have school update. Mr. Small, Miss Black, if you could please join us up at the podium.
All right, nice to meet y'all. It's earlier this past week, I met with the executive team. We all take turns meeting with the executive team in the exec meetings. One of the topics that we prepared is just like an update of how Aldridge is doing, and we have a couple things we want to share with you. So first, we're going to discuss a couple things about our passing, our referral rate. Our course completion. So like, what was our reaction when students fail a class? What's the rate look like? Same with the number of referrals. What does that break down overall per grade level and also like per month? And then Mr. McNeil has asked us to work on a couple of things with our evaluations and walkthroughs. And one of the evaluations that'd be new to our school and all the other schools in district this year is called the teaming observation. And Mrs. Block and her people did a fantastic job preparing that. So she'll speak a little bit about that as I go through a few of these updates of the years as we compare this year compared to the last year and the few years before that. So, all right. So as we look through a couple things, and I apologize, I don't know if you can see this very well, but as we look at last year in 2011, as we looked at term one, we had a total of 176 students combined to have 269 Fs. So that was pretty alarming. We were on a 8-period day at that time. And then this year, we have 3 block classes, so it's a little bit different. Our structure of the day is a little different, even though it's 10 periods, but you have a couple less classes. And because of that, couple of the longer classes, we saw that we went from 176 students that failed the class to 86. And then our Fs went down from 269 to 121 Fs. So that's term one comparison from last year to this year. And then a couple of the programs, and we're thinking we took a different approach in how we did this. Last year we did it after school using the computer and then a teacher there to support them with some of the instruction, and the teachers selected assignments that were very similar to what they had, and it was also at their grade level. But what we found out is the kids, and this one, it was after school, and two, it was on a computer, so maybe some of this was lost with our lessons, but not many kids made it up. And you can see as we had to add a cost on that because we had to pay some people. So the cost was for the year is approximately a little bit less than $10,000. So we had 2 staff people working, at the most up to 8 hours a week, so like about 2 hours a day. And you can see is like out of 100, for example, for term 1 we had 119 Fs, but by the end of that, by the start of term, I'm sorry, by the 9 weeks later is the best way to say it, we still had quite a few Fs outstanding. So we really didn't make a dent in it. And so this year we switched and we used people services and the principals, and we did this at lunchtime. And I got to hand it off to the people services. They did a fantastic job of helping follow through with kids who are failing and meeting with the staff and following through on what assignments they needed to complete. And so as what we saw is, like I said earlier, we had 121 Fs with 86 students. As of right now, we had all 6th grade students who failed. Everyone has made up their class before, instead of waiting, like in the old days before this, we had to wait to summer school. So now everybody's made up the missing work. They have a passing grade. At grade 6, grade 7, 94% of the kids, so it's only, in this case it's 2, didn't make up all their classes yet. And then 8th grade was 88%, so it was like, I think it was 7 kids is what we're looking at. So a grand total of 9 kids, and this was looking at last week, approximately 11 courses, and 4 of those courses were art class. So much improved, a big shift in what we did. And then tentative numbers, just before we go on to the next slide, is looking to term 2. Now granted, the grades our semester ended today, but our grades get pulled next Tuesday, so hopefully a couple kids can get their assignments in. Grade 2 last year we had 57 Fs in grade 6, but this year we only have 26. I'm sorry, students who had an F, and this year we have 26. Grade 7 there was 40 students, this year's 29. Grade 8 there was 68 students with an F or more than 1 F, and then this year right now there's 35, and so right now it's an approximate 55% reduction in the amount of Fs. So it's holding. We had 55% in term 1, now in term 2 we're holding at 55% again. So it's making some reductions, and I think a lot has to do with PBIS, the schedule, and working with the counseling staff, working with the teachers. Some of the discipline, we had three different schedules over the past 3 years, so it's a little bit, just want to show you some of that. ODRs, office discipline referrals. So in 2010-11, we had 604 students in the school. We had a 7-period day going on. As of the first semester, we had 905 office referrals, where they were sent out of class or had discussions, or was after the end of the day it was sent in. And then we had an additional 75. We had counseling where we immediately returned the student to class. We discuss what was going on. Last year, 2011-12, 8 periods. You can see we increased by approximately 150 referrals. We had 40 more students, and then we had many more counseling. Is that we were trying to work to get the students back into class. And then this year, as you can see, we're down from last year. We're on the block schedule, much with McNeil in high school, we have 3 block core classes, and we're at 997 office referrals, 65 counselings, and then we started the year at 686, but right now I think we're at about 672 are in the building. So it gives you an idea how many's in there. So the rise of the pupils, but also we're kind of holding firm around that line, give or take a few. So, and then our referrals per day, this is with PBIS, Jillian, the PBIS team, Martha McHugh, Greg Ellison, several others. They worked tirelessly to provide a couple of supports school-wide. And you can see last year, if you would have looked at these numbers, it was just like walking upstairs all the way until March. And it's like they just kept increasing by month. So this year, as we're looking at this, they peaked in October, decreased by 14 in November, then down to December 11 per day, and then this month, as of right now, we're looking at 9. So that's good news, because we need the kids in class. So I mean that's a huge factor there. But we use our Swiss data, so every month we use the Swiss programming to look at how many referrals, which students, what classrooms, kind of working out some systems and try to provide support to those teachers that might have a difficult time with a couple of kids. So. And this is where I'd like to hand it off to Jillian. Mr. McNeil asked us, I believe it was Elkhorn High School. He brought in the concept to us over at the beginning of the year. Jillian helped get this off the ground. She's fantastic with making some of these movies, and we started using some Google Docs and some presentations throughout the year. She'll show you, and I think she did a fantastic job, so I'm going to let her speak more about this.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is my debut board appearance, so. So I'm going to talk about teaming observations. I'm not even sure, do you have a background in this at all? Give me a head shake. A little bit. Okay. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to quickly explain it for you, and then I'm going to show you kind of what we've done at Aldridge and show you like a 2-minute video clip of some teacher feedback from our school. So the idea behind this, and I think you have this in your packet, correct, is that you have, if you're the teacher, you would set up with the administrator, okay, I'd like to have someone come into my room, you know, 3rd block on next Wednesday, okay, I'd like my peer on the team to be, you know, Mr. Johnson from the science department, things like that. And then the administrator would form a team around that. Usually the team consists of at least one administrator, a peer from your colleagues that you would choose, and then it can be filled in with other people, district administrators, content specialists, reading specialists, all sorts of different people. But it's usually a team of 3 to 5 people that would come in. They would observe the full lesson that you teach, and then after the lesson you would go into what we call a reflective conversation, where you would sit down. It's not evaluative, there's no eye observation, there's no judgment under the table, things like that. It's just talking about what happened, how do you feel about it, asking you leading questions to get you to reflect on your practice and hopefully grow as a professional. So this one will give you guys just an outline of kind of what our process was, how we define this for our teachers. And then the other one, this shows you kind of the process for that reflective conversation and how things form when you're trying to do the teaming observations. It talks about group norms and different things like that. Okay, but as far as our process, let's try that again. Mark, can you do that one? I think my calibration's off here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the process that we used was last October, we got all of our department heads together and we kind of went through 2 sessions with them. The first one was just informational. So we gave them the information that we gave you guys today. We talked through what it's going to look like, why we're using it, because we want to, you know, boost professional practice and instruction in our building. And then our second meeting was a practice run where we showed them a video of a teacher instructing, and then we had Mr. Smullen be our fearless guinea pig, and he pretended to be the teacher, and then you got to fire questions at him, and we talked about what's an appropriate way to ask the question to make sure that it doesn't sound judgmental or evaluative, and we practiced a lot with that. And then we did a couple practice teaming observations with our department chairs, and from there we got some really good feedback, and then we designed the training that we did in just a couple weeks ago in January with the entire staff. So our entire Aldridge staff has been trained. They're ready to sign up on our Google Doc to get themselves ready for their teaming observation. But we wanted to show you just a really quick couple seconds or couple minutes here of a video. So I'm gonna fast forward this. In one of the, I'm not sure, I think it's the procedure one, I put the video link at the very top on one of the documents that's in there, so you guys could check out the full video if you'd like to. What was my time? It's Suzette's. My time's not on there. For a minute.
Person on the team asked very good questions, and it really helped to focus the person who did the lesson on the reflective process and how we need to grow and develop as educators, and reflection is a big part of that. And sometimes in our busy day we don't take time out to do that, and this just gives us another method or way to do that.
It's beneficial for teachers.
Absolutely. I think teachers can grow and learn from this, especially as you invite specific people to your team that have a vested interest in seeing the kinds of things going on in the classroom. Kim co-teaches, so do I. I would be thrilled to have people knowing a little bit more about co-teaching. I would love to have content area people coming in and giving me feedback. Another benefit of doing this process is that you get to come away with good ideas for yourself. Kim did many things in her lesson that I thought I would love to incorporate into some of my own classroom routines and practices. One of the fears I did have was how can I be of benefit to her? Is she going to think that I am somehow better than her or in some kind of position of authority because I'm on this team and coming in and observe her? And as the process unfolded, that really quickly fell away. And I think I was able to fulfill my role as a positive peer in a way that was constructive and very productive.
Okay, so you guys can check out the full video if you're at all interested in that. And I promise I didn't pay them to say those things. I let them do this in a room all their own and just said, okay, just, film the other person and ask them what did you get out of the experience, and that was some of the feedback they gave us. So we're feeling really positive about it. We're excited to get more people into the mix this spring and then next year to really launch it as a large full-scale operation at Aldridge. So, questions?
Questions from board members? John and then Steve. Steve and then John.
I just want to thank Mark and Jillian for coming and sharing some of the accomplishments, some of the things going on at Aldridge. Talking a little bit more about what Jillian just presented to you, one of the reasons why we did want to talk about this is a point of emphasis with our school district this year is to do the coaching model, if you would. How do we better in a collegial way work together to improve our academic skills and their instructional skills? And it's a very positive way of doing it, and basically it really is increases the academic conversations going on in each of the buildings. Jillian is kind of a master, put together a lot of really good things and a good systematic way of doing this. But I want the board to hear all of our schools, every one of them are doing this. So just commend these guys again.
John?
Two quick questions. One, just to clarify, so this model that was just presented is a growth professional development model, not necessarily the eye observation model. Those are still happening.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
separate. So you'll have
It's
formal
complementary.
observations, walkthroughs, and then teaming observations.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. And then for Mark, I watched the numbers you were throwing at me, and I'm going, okay, how many per child are in the building doing whatever they're doing, right? I have no context, though, of, okay, so if we took any other middle school in the world, any other middle school in Wisconsin and northern Illinois with 670 some kids, are we in the ballpark? Are we high? Are we low? Are we? Okay.
I know our number one thing that we're having about, we're just having a little trouble still with some classroom stuff.
Okay.
So it's not like you're getting huge amounts of disciplinary measures for fighting or the violence or any other things. It's just working on some of the stuff in the classroom management. So.
And the best part for me as I look at it is we're working on it, right? It's coming, it's moving, you see the numbers changing.
Oh, yeah.
We see creative people putting great thoughts to that, and that's what makes a difference. So congrats.
Thank you, John. John Acom?
I guess what this symbolized to me is the kind of change that's happened in education, where at one time the classroom was a teacher's kingdom, and it was pretty much the borders were jealously guarded, and what went on within the classroom stayed within the classroom and all that kind of stuff. And now all these different kinds of approaches that we have, people coming in and out of everybody else's classroom, people sharing, collaborating, and suggesting, and all that. The changes that we're making, and this symbolizes it, is you make the entire school a team, as opposed to the old idea of individual kingdoms. And I think it's great. I think this is very, very symbolic of what we're doing in this school district, education-wise, and I think it's great.
Thank you, John. I too want to say thank you to Mark and Jillian for sharing with us tonight, and congratulate you on your successes. The question that I have for you is, knowing the role of the board, what do you need to go to the next level? Is there anything that we have yet to provide to you? A dangerous question, but is there anything? We're a policy-making board. What do you need? Is there anything that you need that we should be aware of to take Aldridge to the next level?
Can we get back to you on that?
10 seconds. No, absolutely. No, please do, because I think that that's the open dialogue that we need to have, and we need to have with all of our schools. Is there anything that we need to know that can help you succeed? And if so, what is it? And if there's a fiscal component to it, we'll have to obviously figure how that would fit in the master plan. If there's a policy component, it's a lot easier. And then how does it impact, what's the secondary and tertiary effects of it? But let's get the feedback from you. If we're missing something, or if we can make your world better and in turn make it better for the students, we'd love to hear about it. Anything else from anybody?
Come back again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Next, we have superintendent's report to the board. We have our monthly update on construction. And I believe, Jeff, you will be joining us for that. Is that correct? Outstanding. Thank you.
I was going to wear the wireless mic tonight, but I think Todd actually wore out the batteries singing karaoke earlier, so we're just gonna go with it.
We don't have a video of that, correct? Thank you.
No. Okay, so let me talk about what's happened.
Given that, if we can get you, there you go. Just so everyone at home can hear you as well.
Okay. So let me talk about what's happened since we were here a month ago, and how time flies when you're having fun. As you can see on the first slide here, we've got, again, and I want to really send out a thank you to our contractors, because they're doing an incredible job. Gilbank Construction, CCI, Clobacar, again, doing an awesome job. And as we look at our construction updates here, especially for Converse and Robinson, they're really very close together as far as where they're at in the whole build process. We're actually looking at expediting schedules and looking at trying to get into the existing buildings and start the remodel over spring break, which then is going to help us when we get into summer and hopefully turn that building over and get everybody going into these, getting into the new building. So all good stuff there. And Merrill, if you've been by Merrill lately, Merrill has taken quite a transformation in the last month with a lot of their stuff going on. See if Todd didn't wear out the batteries on this. Test. Look at that. It even works. Okay, so. And this doesn't.
Choose one or the other. We can hear you, but.
Okay. So let's start over here then. Let me see if we can get it to work on this. And no, we can't. Okay. And we can't get it to work there either. Nothing. Okay. Are we good to go? Okay. Thank you, Dean. As we can see, our project completion percentage is about 40% at Converse. And I won't go through every word for word here, but again, doing very, very well. Go ahead and move to the next one, Dean. What you see here is our walls are up. We're putting bar joist and our decks on the top of the bar joist, getting ready for our roofing. Go ahead and go to the next one. If this works now, Dean, I can do this. Also at Converse, what you see on the left-hand side is just our bare openings, and you can see that now we have windows installed in the south wing there. No, it just doesn't like me. In our new gymnasium box there, we've got, over on this side, we've got the vapor barrier going down, and then you can see a couple days later, we've got our new concrete floor already poured. Go ahead. Here we've got the new restrooms going in the wing, and then also, this is kind of hard to pick up, but that's actually the start of our new kitchen area. Next. And then here you can see our 90-day look where we started and the transformation that we've taken in 90 days out there is quite spectacular. Let's go on to the next one. At Merrill, we're about 30% complete there. Again, a lot of stuff happening out there in this last month. Our gym box went up. We've laid a lot of block, first and second floor. Go ahead. As you can see here, we're on second floor block already. And these guys, what's really helped us is our mild weather. We've really been blessed with the mild weather, so that's really helped. So go ahead. And you can see here just other shots within classrooms, and then more shots from outside of the actual block work happening. Go ahead. Here's our first precast panel being set. And then these guys work fairly quick, and you can see how fast that the gym actually goes up. Go ahead. Now you can see that they're already putting our bar joist in place, and essentially our new gymnasium is at least the outside box is being set, and our roof is already going on. So we're in pretty darn good shape there. Go ahead. So then here's our 90-day look at Merrill. Again, quite a transformation. I know I'm having to step back further and further down the street to take these pictures because the lens doesn't pick everything up. So go ahead. Then Robinson, again, we're about 40% there as well. A lot of good things happening out there. They've got just about all of the floors poured inside the building now. A couple corridors left. Other than that, all of the classroom floors and other floors have been poured. Go ahead. Here you can see some of our, again, this is a look of inside of our north wing. And then here's our gym box there with the new floor put in there. And again, we've already got the roofing on that section. Go ahead. Here again, you can see this is our east wing there. And then just another look, this is kind of where the offices are going to be located at Robinson. Go ahead. Again, gym box is now closed. You can see that We've got the roofing on and it's extended over the edges. We haven't got the flashing put in place yet, but we're watertight, which is huge because now we can actually start some of those interior finishes. Go ahead. Here again, you can see we are getting ready for our deck plank here, and we are already enclosed on this side, and you can see we've got corridor, and then we've got fresh concrete pour in the new classrooms over on this side. And then here's our 90-day look at Robinson. Again, quite a transformation. A lot of work put in place there. Go ahead. Here's our new pool taking shape. We've got our south corridor footings being poured here. And then you can see here we've already got foundations and those walls all set. So we're moving right along there as well. Go ahead. Here they're actually excavating for our dewatering well, which runs just about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to keep that area dry while we're doing this work. Go ahead. I was there over this last weekend and decided to walk down into the hole where they're actually putting the pool vessel, and it doesn't look that deep until you actually go and stand in there and actually, but we're probably about 10 to 12 feet deep in that area. So they've moved a lot of stuff out of there, and a lot of that now is across the street. Right off of 6th Street, where we're planning some other projects with that. Go ahead. Again, these are just some other views and some of our other dewatering things that are in place. Go ahead. So I don't know how many of you play tennis, but if you've been by there, our tennis courts are officially closed for the year. The fencing is a good part of that. And then we also, for those of you that need some dirt, if you want to take a wheelbarrow over, we've got plenty of right along 6th Street there. Any questions?
Any questions for Jeff? See none? I think that, as always, the reports are fantastic. It's exciting to see. Actually, those 90-day looks are outstanding. Exciting times for exciting people in an exciting district.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Anything we need to know other than what the pictures show us?
No, I mean, we've obviously got other projects going on too at the high school and the tech ed area. A lot of great things happening there. Very exciting. And there's more news to come on that. And so all good stuff.
Outstanding.
And I did want to say that I think Mark actually borrowed my Packer hard hat recently, and I was fine
That would
because
be
he did return.
Board member Rand wore
Yes.
the Green Bay Packer hard hat. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Go on record. That's complete falsehood.
I appreciate that. Thank you for the update, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
Absolutely.
Let's move forward now to reports to the board. First up would be the student board member report. However, we don't have a student board member tonight, so we're going to move directly to the Equality Committee report. And Mrs. Bell, can you join us at the podium, please? Welcome.
Hello. All right, I don't have a PowerPoint, so you just give me. All right, good evening. I'm sure you all know I was out on leave for a while. So Ms. Hickman was awesome enough to come in and do the first 2 meetings, which was very awesome, and I appreciate it greatly. She's always just an invaluable resource, so it worked out perfectly. I'm just going to very briefly recap those 3 meetings because I was only there for 1. So in September, there was a referendum update done by our superintendent. And clearly, as you can see from Jeff's slides, we're making great progress with that. Mr. McNeil also mentioned his open door policy and invited the members to stop by at any time. He spoke about the many positive changes, not only in our district, but also in the city of Beloit, which included our increased enrollment. He also mentioned the work that we as a district are doing to encourage more people of color to apply, and we will continue to work on this effort. Next up, and I'm really just going to summarize this because it is all in your packet, but the committee talked about goals. And every year we set goals, and we always end up modifying them based on our discussions, et cetera, and how far we get. So they started off talking about goal number 1, which states to monitor and provide input and feedback regarding district efforts and initiatives, programs and policies aimed at improving student achievement. We started off as a committee looking at 6 strategies under that goal, including monitor academic progress, discipline attendance, review key district assessments that involve academic achievement, promote volunteerism and mentoring, encourage and support staff on equity and culturally responsive teaching practices. And that's something that Rosa Marie and I have been tag teaming on since last year, and we'll continue to do that again this year as well. Create a survey for administrators that includes key questions about the strategies used to meet academic needs according to current trends. Also serve on key district committees that address academic achievement and disparities. Then in October, Carol Campbell, the curriculum director, presented. She discussed balance assessment and the 2011 normative data. She explained the different pieces of the assessment system. And I'm going to say that I wasn't there, so that's a really short recap on that one. But because the committee had so many questions, she did agree to come back after all the data is compiled and once again have that conversation again with them and answer some questions. Once again, like I said, the goals were reviewed and revised. So instead of stretching ourselves too thin, the committee decided to limit the strategies under goal number 1 to 2, which would be to monitor academic progress quarterly, disaggregate data by race, gender, grade level for all students beginning in the 4th grade, and actually beginning last year because we did the switch to the 4-5, we brought in the 4-5 administrators to present. So we'll move forward with that and looking at the data starting with 4th grade on through high school. Review key district data that involves academics, attendance, and discipline. Mrs. Hickman also reviewed a survey that our office conducted last year about diversity within our schools. And for our November meeting, Mr. McNeil returned to give the committee another update on the referendum happenings. He provided details about the phases in terms of who the contractors are, what the busing may look like, upcoming groundbreakings, budget savings. He also mentioned a few projects that are now well underway, as we can all see, including the tech ed department over at BMHS. The committee agreed that we would wait until December to vote on the chair and co-chair. And lastly, this isn't in the minutes at all, but I personally like to see the membership of the committee to improve to where it once was. So I'm trying to do some outreach and some, I guess, hitting the pavement so we can get some more community members back on our committee. That is what I have.
Thank you, Tasha. Any questions for Tasha? John?
Just one. So if we have some suggestions or ideas for community members, just send them to Steve and he'll get them off to you.
That'll be perfect.
Plan? Okay, great.
I've got one question. I think you touched on it when you first started, and that is, and actually Steve and I had a question, actually not a question, but we discussed it. And we know that the district is committed to diversity in our staff. And we know that we're all in and we're doing everything we can. What aren't we doing, and why can we not seem to get a larger pool of diverse candidates in for hiring? And is there anything that we haven't done that we could do? Kind of the question I asked of Alden. What do you need, Tasha, to be successful and to help the district be successful in that goal of becoming more diverse in our staff with our hiring?
I think the major thing, and we already have that in place, is the commitment that we have. Todd and I have been spending time together since last year and trying to figure out different things to do. One thing is I have been in contact with Ron Dunlap, who's the head of the CREATE commission out of DPI. They're kind of like kissing cousins a little bit. And I asked him, I said, Mr. Dunlap, what are we not doing? I said, whatever it is, can you tell me? I said, I've been to recruitment fairs. Melissa and I have been hanging out lots. We've been making connections to different people. But when we go to the fairs, the people of color are not there. Right. So we can't create something that's not there. If we are pulling from students that are closer to us and they're not existing, that's a different conversation. I think that we're on the right path in terms of reaching out to our own high school students, which is something that we have began and we've started having conversations. The huge thing is making those connections with those students in high school to say, oh, you're studying education. Don't you want to come back home? That's how it works. That's what they're doing in Illinois. You know, we've talked about the Grow Your Own project, which we are still working on. But I don't think that we can create something that's better than the system we already have in place. So we already have it. I appreciate the commitment and everybody being supportive. We're on the right track, and I do believe that our numbers will continue to grow, but it will take those personal connections. So, you know, everybody that's out there in the community, when they know someone that's looking, maybe not necessarily in education, you know, because I think we have to think outside the box in terms of that. It takes a lot of different degrees to make a district run.
Right.
And that's kind of what Todd and I have had those conversations about, looking at other degrees too.
All right, I appreciate it. Any other questions for, John Winkleman, please.
One more, just to think about where to look too, because, I mean, Steve and I talked a little bit earlier, it's, given some of the climate in Wisconsin for education, maybe a little difficult to grab some people to get into the field. But I also know that if we look at schools like Loyola, DePaul, maybe even University of Illinois, Illinois is having this great conversation now about cutting teacher pensions, which may be worse than Act 10. So who knows which is worse, but at least it'd be a shot to go think about the conversations you could have at some of the Chicagoland education programs, some of which I know are still growing. I mean, there's still a large number of folks that are looking at that, and I have no idea what the demographics are there, but at least it might be another place to go. We tend to go Whitewater, Madison's, stay in Wisconsin, but maybe somewhere in that northern Illinois piece, even NIU, to think about what we're doing there. So,
one thing was last year we went to the Worth Fair, and Melissa and I were there. We were standing next to districts who had contracts. The only thing we posted on our board was we had information only. We had the longest line of anybody at that fair. So the word is out about our district. And people were like, we want to come to Beloit. How do we get to Beloit? We did not interview anybody. We took resumes. I think we came back with over 200 some resumes for people just standing in line to talk to us about, I heard about your district. How do I get there? So the word is out. We just have to do that follow-up and getting in touch with those people who are already interested to come in Beloit.
And it just came to my mind too. I know in our packet for the meeting beforehand, we had an approval for, not an approval, but a notice of the MEO and the group that's going to some of our southern colleges with some of our students. Have we thought about taking some of our postings, job postings, and as long as we're taking our students there to say, hey, these are some great colleges, can we also perhaps recruit from the student population that's about ready to graduate and saying, we've got a great district, would you consider Beloit as well?
That's an awesome idea.
Just kind of off the cuff. But, you know, I think it's kind of, maybe we need to step outside the box a little bit, and I'm certain that the educators that are going down are
wonderful.
Would be wonderful representatives of our district, and they may be able to promote Beloit as well. Missy?
Well, I was just going to say that wasn't so outside the box years ago, because I know we had some of the best educators that came from Lane University, and it was because I think several people went down there and recruited them. And maybe we need to be doing that, looking down at some of those colleges. Have a field trip, you and or junket down there.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you for the update. Welcome back. Congratulations on the baby. And
Thank you.
looking forward to great things. All right. Got so excited now I lost my place. So where are we at? We are now at committee reports. So first up, we've got Finance, Transportation, and Property. John Winkleman, please.
good evening. We met on the 8th. We had a fairly quick agenda, so we reviewed purchase orders as we normally do, and talked a little bit more about risk management. It's been on our agenda for a little while. It's a topic that we're kind of working to focus on as we think about our insurances and how we manage our risk and how much it costs us to do that. And so that's a conversation I know that Janelle has been working on diligently. Part of what the audit asked us to do is to approve and recognize what are called 60 Fund student activity groups. These are groups that are similar to student clubs and organizations within the district that collect money. and hold money, or we hold money for them and then they spend it. And so that came to us, and that will be in front of us, I think, tonight. And then we had a couple of waivers of rental fees, one for Petunia City Squares and one for Caritas. And it's always good to be able to share our facilities with the community. And with that, I think we were done.
Sorry, are there any questions for John? Seeing none, let's move forward with curriculum and instruction to John Acom, please.
Okey doke. The Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on January 8th, and we had a fairly narrow focus in that we basically were dealing with one subject, but it was a big one. It's for the high school, the tech ed department, new courses being added and some other courses being removed or rolled into the curriculum in different ways or whatever. And this is coming up for discussion again later this evening, but the courses that were added were basic cabinetry, basic machining, basic welding, advanced machining and CNC operations, advanced welding and fabrication, Cisco's IT Essentials course, their CCNA Discovery course, and their CCNA Advanced Exploration. And we are removing a few courses, manufacturing tech and workshop safety, as opposed to being a separate course. Those concepts are being rolled into our courses. Again, one of the things that we stress in our career and technical education field is safety. Safety is important, and so we're putting it where it's going to be a message that's going to be reinforced in every one of the classrooms. Metallurgy processes and production, fabrication and machining also are being now incorporated in a different way into the curriculum. Had an opportunity to visit the area where we're expanding tech ed and where welding, for example, is going to be earlier today. And right now it's a big open space that's going to be filled up with some very exciting things. And so we're very excited about that. So that was essentially the focus on our curriculum committee meeting. It was a good meeting, and we're excited about the future that it portends.
Are there any questions for John? Seeing none, let's move forward then to policy and personnel with Nora, please.
Hi. We met on December 18th for personnel recommendations to approve those recommendations made by the district. And then we met again on January 8th as we continue to move forward in updating our policies to reflect the current practices and also updated state law. First, though, on our agenda that we approved to be moved forward to the discussions in tonight's meeting is a full-time ELL teacher at Burge Elementary because of the population growth there for the need of an ELL teacher. And then also moving on tonight, we're going to be discussing the need for an accounting coordinator. Our policies for first reading, we did a lot of policies for fiscal management, many of which will be coming to for discussion later this evening. And we also had policies for second reading that included determining our staffing needs and student teacher ratios in the class, as well as some facility development goal policies. Then in the future, the whole board will be discussing our code of conduct and making that into one or maybe two policies instead of several that might kind of overlap what we have in our code of conduct. So the full board will be talking about that a little bit later as a full board and how we might want to do that. And then we continue to move forward with an employee handbook. So that's what we did on January 8th, and again, we also moved forward personnel recommendations. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Nora? Okay. Seeing none, let's move forward then to the consent list.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Move approval of the acceptance of the donation from Tad School PTO for
$1,400 for iPads and keyboards.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Awesome, great, thank you. Yeah, thank you is the word.
All the above. Seeing none further. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the annual audit approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
Just a minute.
John?
Just a note on the audit, we have a clean audit, which is exactly what you want to have, which is also an unqualified opinion, which does not mean that they're not qualified. It means that there are no hiccups or anything along the way. So that is also a positive thing, even though it's unqualified. We kept our fund balance in our target range of around 18%, which is good. And again, that has, as we've already talked about many times, helped us to be able to fund our bonds in an appropriate way and get some great interest rates. The other piece to just note that was noted in the audit as well, we started out the year with a budget that looked like we were going to push expenditures past revenues by about 3.4 million. And what we ended up with was expenditures that exceeded revenues by 130,000. Significant difference, and the only way to talk about that is to say thank you to staff, to all district staff, senior administrative staff, but all the way, every staff in the district has helped that process go, has thought about ways to save money, has helped us to be able to do that. So I think from the board, for sure, we need to say thank you for that, and an awesome job, because that wasn't where we were started when we started this process out. And the audit, just to note, is in the book, but it's also on the website so people can see it if you want to read audit information to be able to do that. And I would note that our audit is done following what are called, what Janelle will correct me, GASB standard, General Accounting Standards Board criteria. So that's us. That's at the school district of Beloit level. I'll put in a little plug. Ask the state legislators if they are at GASB standards. I would suggest that they might not be, and it might be an interesting conversation for them. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Very much appreciated. Any questions or points of interest? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have 60 Fund Student Activity Groups.
I move approval of the attached student activities group for 2012-2013 as presented.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. We next have high school new course and course removals for 2013-2014.
Move approval. These are the ones that we just talked about in the curriculum committee report.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the accounting coordinator.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Policy 451, student insurance for first reading.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? I would ask on the second paragraph, where it says students are expected to provide their own insurance for at-student coverage, to strike the word at, as it comes forward for second reading. Any other discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have fiscal management policy revisions for first reading. The first one is 610 fiscal management goals.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? On the first paragraph, in the boxed item allocated based on mission and strategic plan for the greatest education return, I would request that we consider the word educational instead of education return. And on the the fourth bullet point, maintain adequate fund balance reserves, I would ask the committee would consider referencing that back to the policy that we have for fund balance. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have 620 annual operating budget. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. 622 Rule 1, Guidelines for Public Notification of Budget Information.
I'll move approval.
Moved and seconded, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Policy 623, Budget Implementation for first reading.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. 632, Short-Term Borrowing for first reading.
I'll move
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Nora?
I can't remember. Why was it that we were striking at least 18% of the anticipated general fund in there?
was because that way when we if we ever change our policy
Okay.
on fund balance of 662 changes, we don't have to change the number
Okay.
in 632.
Okay, thank you.
I too had the same question. I'm wondering if, could we not then reference the policy as opposed to a target range, so it is clear that we're targeting what policy states as opposed to an ambiguous target?
Target range as stated in policy XX.
I think that would be a little bit clearer.
Oh.
So if policy could consider that, since this is first reading before it comes back for second, that would be greatly appreciated. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. 641, State Aid Funds for first reading.
Move approval.
Second.
All the, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And those opposed? 642, Federal Aid Funds for first reading.
I would move approval of 642 and 651.
So
Second.
642 and 651, 651 being revenues from local tax sources, has been moved and seconded. Discussion on either? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed. Motion carries. 653.1, Rule 1, Use of Activity, Event, and Tournament Funds for first reading.
Move approval. I'll second it.
You got that, Michelle? Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those opposed. Motion carries. 654, Resale of School Purchased Items for first reading. Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Motion carries. 656, Revenue from Public and Private Grants for first reading.
I would move 656, 661.1, and 661.2. Revenue from public and private grants, authorized signatures, and check writing services. And,
Yes.
yes.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on any of those?
Sure.
Nora?
I just had a question. I can't remember. We've gone through so many of these in our committee. But on 656, down near the bottom where it says no grant or foundation, I'm wondering if it does mean award, may be accepted without the required board notice or approval. Is that a standard procedure that we do now?
Yes.
It is? Okay. That was my question.
Like we did tonight with the PTO award.
Okay, but that was the proposal, not the award.
PTO was a grant and gift.
Yeah, that was a grant gift.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? It's been, who was the second for those three?
Nora. Oh, wait, was it? Who?
John was second.
I seconded.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We had multiple seconds,
Was
so
there like
multiple
consent at the
people would
table?
like to second that.
We unanimously seconded.
It's been moved and seconded, and seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? And those opposed? 662.1, Management of Student Activity Funds, and 662.1, Rule 1, Procedures for Management of Student Activity Funds for first reading.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
662.2, Petty Cash Accounts, and 662.2, Rule 1, Petty Cash Procedures, 664, Cash in School Buildings, and 672, Purchasing.
Move approval of all of those.
Second.
Any discussion? Nora?
On page 92, where it would be two, it's that little sentence or phrase right under 2A. And I was wondering if the wording could be clarified a little bit. It says materials are not available from a vendor who will accept a procedural card. Is that correct? Maybe that wording, when I first read it, I thought it was a little confusing. But what it means is if well, I'm not really sure what it means. The procurement card, is it saying that if somebody has a procurement card, they can or cannot use it? They're not?
I think it's restricting.
It's restricting,
It's
okay.
restricting, but we definitely could ask before it comes back for second reading to
Okay.
revisit that and make certain that it's very clear
Okay,
as
I'll
to
make-
if it's
I'll make a
restricting or.
note.
Yeah, because here it kind of reads that
Right.
it's
You
not
can't buy-
available if they accept a procurement card.
Right.
That's not what we want to say.
John Aiken, please.
What is a procurement card?
That's a
P-card.
prepaid card that's assigned for purchases on,
district
so,
credit
yeah.
card.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of departments are using them now. Instead of having to request for a PO for everything, you're allotted a certain amount for certain items.
It's usually a small amount
Yeah.
that you can't max. I mean,
It's
if you max
also-
out, you can no longer purchase.
Trackable.
Yeah, trackable by person, by user. So I think prior to coming back for second reading, if we can clean that language up. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And those opposed? Motion carries. We're at page 96 with 343.2, Rule 1, Guidelines for Determining Staffing Needs for second reading.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Discussion? On this policy is where I have a concern regarding laboratory and tech ed classes, in that CDC and NIOSH has some pretty specific guidelines, and I'm wondering if we could incorporate language that would encompass that we are acknowledging those guidelines and adhering to them to ensure, or perhaps we could say something that guidelines shall be consulted to ensure safety of student needs are met. But I'm not so comfortable with having a blanket statement, knowing that several organizations have some pretty strong recommendations for those types of classrooms. I have Nora and then John.
Are you suggesting then where we have the underlined topical differences to maybe include one other headline saying for tech ed or science classes to follow a certain standard from an accredited
Something like
organization
that.
or some, I mean, are you looking for a separate header there?
Not a separate header. I guess when we headed up for first reading, I had thrown out NIOSH, and I've done a little bit more research, and I guess NIOSH is kind of adopting CDC, and then in looking at the laboratory, it looks like it's NSTA, NSELA, and NATB. And I know they're guidelines, and I think that we need to look at our classroom, what we're doing, the guidelines, but I just want to ensure that all of them have been taken into account prior to determining a maximum number of students.
Would that last bullet point cover that? Projected class sizes less than 15.1? Shall be subject to approval of central administration and building principal. Would that cover that?
No, in that what I'm thinking about today is in the advisory committee meeting when they're looking at particularly the new welding room, looking at potentially 18 welders, and right now that classroom could be set up for an average of 25 students. Not to exceed 30 would be the way that it's currently put in the master schedule. And I don't know that I would be comfortable with that.
Okay.
John, Steve, John.
Yeah, again, these are guidelines, and but obviously, as I talked earlier, we have a high level of interest in student safety, and this basically is a fairly narrow application to tech ed and to science, as I understand it. And I'd be perfectly comfortable with just putting something, even another bullet point in, saying that in tech ed and science classes or science laboratories, because it's labs, it's not classes, why we would utilize these guidelines and say within them.
Stephen and John?
Nora, you had pointed out that a projected class size of less than 15 to 1 shall be subject to approval by central administration and building principal. That is exactly why that statement is in there for lab classes, for elective classes like tech ed. Obviously, we would not put our kids in a situation where we're going to have 25 to 1 in a tech ed class, and that's why we're designing those shops accordingly. So I think it's covered in the policy. That's why we put it in there. I think it's pretty impossible to spell out every single class that you would have. So you have to have sometimes a blanket common sense statement like that.
John Winkelman, please.
Listening, I'm trying to listen to the discussion and say, where would this fit? And when I get to that point at a board meeting for second reading, I'm going to say this needs to just go back for one more go-around, because there's about 1 million different organizations that could govern these questions. And Shannon, you're asking us to use a couple of names or to put some governing questions in. I think maybe we say, what does DPI say on this conversation? And is there a line or a policy that says we're compliant with current accepted practices for whatever? I don't have the answer for that, and I wouldn't want to do it on the fly tonight. So my move would be send it back, table it, send it back for one more go-around. And let staff work on it, because they're the ones that have to live with it.
Thank you, John. Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that either. I think there's maybe a spirit and intent in terms of what kind of classes we're talking about within here that maybe just needs to be defined more, because also you have a class like some of your fine arts classes that have way more than that ratio, but that's not what we're talking about here. So I think maybe that's something that we just need to clarify exactly what these ratios are for.
And what groups we're using.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. John Acom?
Madam President, I'll second that motion to table until the next business meeting.
It's been moved and seconded to table. Any discussion on the motion to table? Simply for a reevaluation, if there may be some language, or if the language that currently exists would cover all of the concerns, or the concern that has been raised this evening. Seeing no discussion on the motion to table, all those in favor to table?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion to table carries. We are now at 661 Depository of Funds and 661 Rule 1 School District Depositories for second reading.
I move approval of 661 in the rule.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed?
Abstentions.
Madam President?
Yes.
I'd like to be listed as an abstention.
And one abstention. Thank you, John. We are now at 900 Series Revisions, Facility Development for second reading.
I would.
Michael?
I'd move approval of the 900 series here, which would be 900, 910, 920, 942, 943.1, 943.2, 945.1, 946, 947, as well as policy 221.2.
And would you be so kind as to further engage the public and allow them to know which policies those are?
These are a bunch of policies about facilities development. 910 is facility development goals. 920 facilities planning. 942 selection of architects. 943.1 site development and selection. 943.2 building design. 945.1 protection and guarantees. 946 supervision of construction. 947 construction project records and documents. All of which are things that we needed to look at and take care of with everything, all the building projects we're doing with referendum. And then policy 221.2 is a policy that, according to law, state law is not applicable.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Nora. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. That moves us to personnel recommendations.
Move approval of the revised sheet in front of us.
Outstanding. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. We are now at discussion items. Are there any items of interest for consideration at future meetings? Nora?
Being that we're near the completion of 3 of our elementary buildings, I was wondering if we could have a detailed budget of where we thought we were going to be and where we are now, and just kind of have an overview of the spending of referendum dollars for those 3 projects. And then also, we just heard in an equality report something about Steve giving an overview of what busing might look like with the new reconfigurations, and I was wondering if we could also have a presentation on that.
Thank you, Nora. John Winkleman.
I have 3 things tonight. So as we know, we have multiple RFPs out right now, and I'm wondering if it would be of value to kind of have Janelle gather us as a group and just kind of review those 3 that are out so we can get our heads to start wrapping around what will be coming to us in terms of bids and vendors and all those kinds of things. They are big ones, and they will need some thought and careful approach as we go. And some people have never done them before because our contracts have been long. So that would be one. I think about as Martin Luther King Day is here, and I think about what we're doing, and I think about the wonderful day off people have. I still struggle with that question. So I guess for me, I would welcome a conversation about what kind of educational activities we could do or we are doing, because I'm not going to assume that they're not happening, in the district around the day. Since we can't be in school that day, are there things that we're doing, and are there things that we could do additionally to engage students and families and community about that? I mean, we certainly had a choir that came from a variety of places. Certainly a number of our children and from the district were there and did a marvelous job at a variety of places across the community. So they had that opportunity, but what are happening with the rest of the students in the district? So a question. And then the other question that came up with some conversation with people in the community is thinking about the cost of paying for the ACT test. We have talked before about the requiring or asking all of our graduates, intended graduates, all of our students to take it. But even just to think about those that are taking it now, is there some way to help incentivize that? Are there people who aren't taking it because they can't afford it? Is there, some of our policies now lean towards if you have free and reduced lunch, then maybe there's a way to help that question, and I don't know if that's an option. But if we don't ask, we won't know that. So, and maybe that's comes back to finance to look at first as an option, but I would put it on the table as something to think about. So I would hate to see the dollars get in the way of some of our students being able to do that. Those are mine.
Thank you, John. Anybody else? I have one, and that is a request for an update on the employee handbook. I see that we're taking it out to our unions, and I think it might be a good time for the board to see the draft. Thank you. I'm like projected draft, the draft handbook as well. Anybody else? Seeing none. Next, we have the announcement of future board meeting dates. First up, committee meetings shall be held on February the 12th, 2013, which will encompass finance, transportation, and property, curriculum instruction, and policy and personnel. And we also have a board workshop on February 19th. And finally, our business meeting shall be held on February 26th, 2013. Unless there are any objections, at this point we shall be adjourned. Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.